Welcome back to V8 Creative and a very, very special episode. I'm going to share with you a story very few people know, and it's how my dad invested 11 years of his life building this. An exact 1/3 scale model of a 1933 Morgan three-wheeler, and how this little car stopped production at the Morgan factory. He was in trouble. Yes, welcome back to the Dean Den, and we're pausing from spannering this week because I've been wanting to film this episode for so long. Now, those of you that follow the channel will know I'm currently refurbishing the Morgan three-wheeler that my father restored in the early 1980s, and it just needs a bit of love and care now. But after he'd spent 4 years restoring this car, he then spent, get this, he then spent another 11 years and over 3,500 hours scratch building an exact 1/3 scale replica of the car he just restored. It is beautiful. It is a piece of art. And those of you that are watching the channel can see it in the background. But what I'm doing is I'm dedicating this episode to really tell you how he built it and the amazing story that he stopped production at the Morgan factory. Charles Morgan desperately wanted to buy the model. And what came of it? Well, you'll have to stay tuned and I'll tell you a little later on. So let's get our magnifying glasses out and really appreciate a one-of-a-kind. So here she is in all her glory. So I've taken the Perspex cover off, and I must say, I'll give you some close-ups in a sec. It's beautiful. It's also flipping heavy. The steering works, of course, and it works exactly the same as the real car. Exactly. There's even a small spring on one of the steering arms, exactly the same as the real car. Also, we have leaf spring suspension on the back. I'll show you that underneath that in a minute. All this is metal, hand formed, as is the radiator cowl that's been chromed. And of course, we have the engine and we have little hose pipe clamps there. And the wheels, I'll give you a close-up in a second. Every single spoke individually made. Amazing. The interior, that comes out like the real car. Yep, see, we'll have a look inside in a minute. And there's the little ratchet on the handbrake. And it actually works. It actually works. Mad. Little gear stick. And also, he's actually replicated all the controls on the steering wheel. But I just want to give you an overall shot here of how big this is. Every time I look at it, it astonishes me. Well, anyway, come a bit closer, and what we're going to do is focus in on a few parts of this car, just to show you the lengths my dad went to make this look, how should I put it, perfect. So here we are in the interior. You can see the steering wheel working there. And if you look, this steering wheel even has the little grooves in, like the real one. And here, choke, throttle, ignition advance, with all little cables going down. He's replicated every single rivet, and it's all steel, it's all metal and aluminium on the steering wheel. I'm not quite sure how he made this. I think he actually cast the steering wheel surround, because to get the right scale is the challenging thing. Over here we have the Speedo, which has got a replica face. I think even the mileage is the same. We've got the fuel gauge. Is that fuel gauge? No, I don't know what that is. I think actually it's voltage. And then over here we have the indicators and the ignition key. I don't know if you can see that. Rear view mirror, oh, it's just out of shot for you. Ignition light. And then down here, I don't know if you can see this. Here, this is the gear lever. And then over here, this is the handbrake. Can you hear the ratchet? Listen, it works just like the real one. Oh, you can't. Let's put the handbrake on. Oh man, insane, insane. So the swabs come out. I'll do your picture of the other side, but all here, all the side panels are all trimmed in like a leatherette. Oh, it's just beautiful. Amazing. Right, I'll spin you around now. Okay, inside, the seat swabs come out. Look at that. And they've even got the piece of wood underneath with the hole in, exactly the same. Get this one out. This is a bit trickier. Here you go. There's the other one that comes out. And here we can see the prop shaft. And in here we can see the gearbox. I'll show you that from underneath. Now what we're doing here is obviously looking at the front of the engine, and every single piece has been made from scrap. You can even see the head gaskets here. It's a little thin sheet of copper. Here's the carburettor with the Bowden cable controls. Here are the two inlets to the rad at the top, even with their Jubilee clips. Push rods. Obviously the Morgan rocker assemblies there, and then here are all the oil lines. Here is the cable for ignition, advance and retard, and this is the Bakelite spin on the front that goes left and right. On the front here, this is the cranking handle. These little parts have all been chromed, all these nuts and bolts made the exact scale. And then the exhaust, there's even exhaust gaskets in there. I'll show you some close-ups of that in a minute. Lighting. And the suspension is operational. Spring down here, spring in here, exactly like the real car. The radiator is a work of art. In here, every single, it's been made from copper, and there are all basically the tubes going down. I just don't know where to stop. It's just beautiful. It took him so long to make this. Wow. I could just look at that all day. It's amazing. All these chassis members he made out of steel. They've been brazed and then obviously sprayed. I don't know if you can see here are the valve springs, and here are the rocker arms with their adjusters in as well. Here you can see this tiny little bracket here. I'll actually get the carburettor and show you. So here's the real carburettor here, and you can see the little clamp there. And it's just been replicated perfectly. There's even knurling on the top here. All these bolts, exactly the correct size. I don't know if you can see there, there's little spark plugs and spark plug leads there. It's the rockers bolted on. Again, little clips, Jubilee clips. Then down here, this is the input for the coolant, rubber hose, and again, it's got little Jubilee clips on it. Now the wheels and tyres, I remember what he did is, this centre here, he turned that out on the lathe. This is made of, I don't know if it's aluminium or steel, I can't tell. But this has been generated on the lathe, as is this outer, and then every single spoke has been individually cut to length, and also the little ferrule put on the end. They're actually crimped. And then we have the valve down here, and the rubber tyres have been cast out of rubber. They're actually rubber. They've made specifically for this model, and the consistency of the rubber is the same density, so you get the same slight squish on them with the weight of the model than you do with the weight of the real car. It's just the lengths he went to make this just as good as it could possibly be. So if you look on the side of the Morgan here, we can just pull out lots and lots of little details. There's the tax disc, and the holder is actually been turned out on a lathe, so it's exactly the same scale. Little Union Jack. Here are the brackets for the windscreen. And then here are what holds the exhaust on. It's a chromed U-clamp and a bracket. And inside here, I don't know if you can see, here is the oil filter. Suspension arms. The back is quite simple. One tyre, and then this polished aluminium dish, which is exactly like the real car. Brake light at the top, and then here, obviously, a replica number plate with domed nuts, as per the original. Right, we're going to take a pause now in looking around the model, because I want to share with you the story that not many people have heard, but every time I tell people, people just smile. So my father, as I said, spent 11 years building this beautiful model. He was always upstairs in his modelling room, tinkering away. And when he finished it, he decided that he was going to put it in his loft and cover it with a cloth. And that's what he did. He just covered it up in his loft and then carried on with his other model making, which was flying helicopters and radio control planes. And one day I said to him, you can't leave that car up there. It is so beautiful. People need to appreciate it. And I said, why don't you phone up the museum in Malvern, where Morgans are made, and they may want to display it. So he said, okay, all right, I'll do that. So he phoned up the museum, and the museum said, we've got models already of Morgans. And my dad said, I don't think you realise what this model is like. Because most of the models are like tiny, this big, made of plastic. And so he said, the curator, he said, okay, come down and I'll take a look at it. And if I think it's worthy, we'll put it in our museum. Great, that's nice, isn't it? Anyway, so my dad loads up the model in the converted ammunition box. Why not? Of course you would. And then he pushed it into the back of his Sierra estate. Of course, Ford Sierras, very reliable cars. So he drove all the way to Malvern. It's probably about 2 hours from where I live. And went to the museum, and the guy that arranged to meet him had forgotten. So my dad was sort of at a loss. He didn't know what to do. And to me, that's quite sad, because you imagine spending 11 years of your life making something and then someone doesn't rock up to a meeting. But anyway, that's by the by. So my father knew the storeman at Morgan really, really well. And the reason is, when he was restoring the big Morgan, he used to go there quite a lot, and he could look at sort of plans and things there, and he could chat about Morgans, and he really loved it. Anyway, so he thought, I'll go over and see. I can't remember the guy's name. So he drove over to the factory, which is very close, pulled up, went in to see the storeman, and the storeman said, well, why are you here? And he said, well, and he explained about the model, and the storeman said, well, I'll take a look. So my dad said, okay. So they go outside, open the hatch of the Ford Sierra, out comes the ammunition box, off comes the lid, and the storeman was just gobsmacked. He didn't know what to say. And he said, stay there. That's the only thing he could say. Within 10 minutes, my father's Sierra was surrounded by dozens and dozens of Morgan employees. And my dad always joked, he said, I'm sure the production line stopped because they'd never seen anything like this. And because Morgans are hand-built, they understood the quality and the effort that goes into a beautiful thing like this. Anyway, what happens next? Well, because clearly there was a lot of disruption in the car park, and Charles came storming out of his office, the workers parted like water, and he came up and he looked at the model and he said to my dad, I'll buy that. And my dad said, it's not for sale. And I don't know how exactly the conversation went. I don't know what my father was offered for it, but Charles was desperate to have this model, for either for himself or in the factory, obviously. So my dad said, no, it's not for sale. And that was my dad for you. He wouldn't, even if Charles had said £1 million, my dad would have said no. So my dad said, what I will do for you though, is you can have it on permanent loan as long as you make a case to put it in, and I can take it back whenever I want it. And here's the letter from Charles Morgan saying, yep, thank you for the loan. And the model then was pride of place in the Morgan Visitor Centre for 10 years. Actually, I think it was 11. A long, long time. And the only reason, oh yeah, I must tell you this, and every 6 months we used to get the phone call from the factory, from the shop, someone wanted to buy it. And again, my dad said, didn't even ask price, said not for sale, not for sale. Because this, it's just so rare and beautiful. I get it. Then my father was starting to get a bit old. He couldn't drive his Morgan and he really wanted the Morgan back. So after 11 years, he went and brought the Morgan back home. And then really what he used to do is just look at it when he was sort of getting a bit more frail. So this model means a lot to me because, you know, my dad was very proud of it. He spent a lot of time building it. And yeah, so that's the story. And should the big one and the little one always stay together? Well, probably yes. Will it always be in this family? Probably, but who knows? If there was somewhere where both could be seen by lots of people, I think that would be fitting because, yeah, I think it would, because quality like this needs to be seen.
Take it slow, we are talking loud. If you listen close, you can kiss the sky away with your cell phones. Friday night and I dyed your hair and I messed it up, but you didn't care, or did you? Drifting round in blue days, well we knew it. Wait for the days we got time, gave it time. Now I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling. I fall for you. Oh, oh, oh. Can't control it. I'm falling, I'm falling. With my deja vu. How I'm falling for you. Falling for you. See your face next to mine, and I'm feeling safe when I curl up next to you. Skin to skin isn't complicated. In my head I go round in circles, oh I hate it. Drifting round in blue days, well we knew it. Wait for the days we race and we keep on driving. We just do what we wanna do. Yeah, no, nothing's complicated with you.
There we have it. Another episode draws to a close. And if you're still watching, thank you for watching to the end. Because my father, his passions were Morgan three-wheelers and model making. And this model really brings both of those together, which is just amazing. Now, he left the model to me, so now it's in the Dean den, and every time I look at it, it reminds me of my dad and makes me smile. So next week, we're going to get back on the life-size Morgan and start some more spannering. She's coming together, and it's not going to be long before we'll take her out on the road for the first time. I bought a crash helmet. I'm not looking forward to that. But anyway, until next time, as I always say, keep smiling and enjoy your spannering. Love it. I love this. I love it. I love it.